Is Josh Allen not the perfect Buffalo Bill? And re-signing him to a big-time deal and letting him know that is the case?
When Josh Allen signed his record-breaking deal, the NFL thought they had control. But what happened next? No one expected.
Josh Allen still is probably underpaid.
I am more than a football player.
Sources began hinting Allen wasn't just negotiating with the NFL, he was planning something different.
When you talk about him getting that kind of money, that's who we want to see getting the bag like.
And when NFL owners found out, it triggered a reaction the league tried to hide. The man behind the brand.
Josh Allen getting paid a 6-year deal worth $330 million keeps him in Buffalo at least through the 2030 season.
That is the deal everyone was talking about first. But before we get into the deals outside the NFL, you need to understand what was already happening inside it, because the outside deals did not happen in a vacuum.
Yeah, I love it for the Bills. I love that they've given out the most guaranteed money in NFL history. That should last for about 20 minutes until somebody else gets paid.
That was the reaction from the Buffalo Plus team when the news broke. And they were not wrong about the money being historic. Josh Allen's 6-year, $330 million extension with the Buffalo Bills set the record for the most guaranteed money in NFL history. $250 million total guarantees, with $147 million in hard guarantees.
It's been, when is Josh Allen going to get his deal and how much? It's fantastic for the franchise to get him locked up.
Yeah, this is just nuts.
Now here is where things get interesting. At the same time, Josh Allen was locking himself into the Bills until the 2030 season. He was also putting pen to paper on deals that had nothing to do with football at all. And those deals are the ones that set the internet on fire. In March 2025, Josh Allen signed an overall deal with Skydance Sports, a media and entertainment production company, to develop scripted, unscripted, and branded content. Then, in September 2025, he officially announced a switch from Nike to New Balance, ending a sponsorship relationship that had been in place since his rookie year. And then, in March 2026, just weeks before free agency opened, he signed a multi-year deal with PepsiCo to represent brands across their national portfolio. 3 major non-NFL contracts, all signed while still an active quarterback, all generating noise. Now, the question the title is asking is simple. Did NFL owners explode over these moves? To understand that, you first need to understand the man behind the deals, who Josh Allen is, how he got here, and why his name carries the kind of weight that gets multi-million-dollar companies calling.
From the day we drafted him, we talked about it like this guy, obviously people had questions about his talent level and boom or bust type prospect.
Bills GM Brandon Beane said that himself. When Josh Allen came out of Wyoming in the 2018 draft, not everyone was convinced.
But as I told him at my opening press conference, Pat, when you get to meet this young man, he is Buffalo through and through. He's a lunch pail, grew up on a farm.
That is the version of Josh Allen that people connected with first. A small-town kid from Firebaugh, California, a farm boy, a player who grew up throwing rocks into a dumpster behind his dad's shop because that was what was available.
I think it's just how I was born and raised, in the middle of nowhere, right? Growing up with my siblings and having them as basically my only friends.
That background, genuine, grounded, relatable, is a large part of what makes Josh Allen the kind of athlete brands want to attach their names to.
Because we lived out in the middle of nowhere, going to the back of the shop and just grabbing rocks and trying to throw them into a big dumpster.
He did not come from money. He did not come from a football factory program. He came from nothing and built his way into the most expensive contract in NFL history. And somewhere between winning the MVP and getting paid $330 million, companies started paying attention in a completely different way. By April 2026, Josh Allen is not just an NFL quarterback. He is a media partner, a brand face, a content creator, a PepsiCo ambassador, and the internet wants to know how that sits with the people who actually own the league. More than a football player, to understand why people online are reacting the way they are, you have to go back to the moment Josh Allen first hinted publicly that he saw himself as more than a football player.
My whole dream as a kid, has been to be in this position, and I've never thought of anything outside of that or beyond that.
That was Josh Allen, quiet, measured, honest, but then came the shift.
And hopefully I get to still play this game for a very long time, and that's ultimately my goal, is to play this as long as I physically can.
His wife had something to do with that shift.
My wife is an unbelievable, undeniable rock star.
When asked what she had taught him that he did not already know about himself, Allen did not hesitate.
Maybe that I am more than a football player.
That sentence, 6 words, is the thread that runs through every outside deal Josh Allen has signed. Because for most of his career, Josh Allen was football. That was it. That was the whole identity. He went from a farm in Firebaugh to the NFL, and in his mind, there was nothing in between and nothing on the other side worth thinking about. But marriage changed him. Getting the MVP changed him. Watching his platform grow changed him. And the companies that were watching, Skydance Sports, New Balance, PepsiCo, they saw that evolution in real time. The Skydance Sports deal, announced in March 2025, was the first signal that Josh Allen was ready to operate in spaces that had nothing to do with throwing a football. Skydance is not a small operation. It is a studio with real entertainment infrastructure, films, television, streaming content. The kind of company that does not sign overall deals with athletes unless they believe that athlete has a genuine commercial identity beyond the sport. Josh Allen becoming their first major NFL partnership was not a coincidence. It happened right as he was ascending to the top of the NFL's cultural conversation. The New Balance deal in September 2025 carried a different kind of weight. Nike had been with Allen since he was a rookie. Walking away from Nike is not something athletes do casually. Nike is embedded into the NFL ecosystem, into the culture of the sport itself. For Allen to look at that relationship and choose New Balance instead signals a quarterback who is making identity decisions, not just financial ones. And the New Balance deal came with a personal commitment, using the partnership to fund youth sports programs in Firebaugh, California, his hometown. That detail matters. It is the kind of brand behavior that builds cultural equity, not just commercial equity. Then, March 2026 brought the PepsiCo deal, a multi-year partnership to represent brands across their entire national portfolio. PepsiCo is not signing quarterbacks as a one-off publicity move. This is a long-term positioning play. They want Josh Allen's face and name to carry their products for years. By the time all 3 deals were in place, Josh Allen had become something the NFL had not quite seen before: a reigning MVP, a record contract holder, and an independently operating media and brand figure, all at the same time, all while still actively playing. And that combination, that rare convergence of athletic dominance and business independence, is exactly what started the conversation about how the rest of the NFL's power structure feels about it. Allen referenced Scottie Scheffler, not another quarterback, not another football player, as the athlete whose mindset resonated with him most.
Scottie's whole thing is, from his perspective, is all he tries to do is hit singles.
That is a man who has already started thinking outside the lane he was built for.
Being put into perspective of just like what really matters in life. Friends, family, how you treat others.
That kind of public language, the brand-ready language of purpose and values, does not come from a quarterback who sees himself only as a football player. It comes from someone who is building something bigger. And now the question is, who in the NFL is comfortable with that? When owners actually explode. Here is where the story gets layered, because when you look at the actual history of NFL owners reacting to players signing deals outside the league, the pattern is not what most people expect. The most well-known case people reach for is Colin Kaepernick and Nike. In 2018, Nike made Kaepernick the face of their Just Do It campaign, a bold move that dropped right as NFL games were kicking off. The imagery went everywhere. The internet caught fire. People were burning their Nike gear on camera. But here's the thing about the owner reaction that most people forget. Not a single NFL owner came out and publicly attacked the Nike deal itself. Not one. The owner reaction, led loudly by Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, was directed at the anthem protests, the off-field conduct, the perceived disrespect to the military, and to the flag. Jones pushed hard for a league-wide policy that would require players to stand during the national anthem. The NFL's official statement at the time was measured, essentially neutral, and focused on dialogue, not on Nike's decision to sign Kaepernick to an endorsement deal. Even the sponsor fallout, like Papa John's complaining about lost pizza sales, was framed around the protests, not around the concept of a player having an outside endorsement. The distinction is important. Owners have historically shown almost no appetite for publicly attacking a player's right to make money in the marketplace. Their objections, when they come, are almost always dressed up in the language of conduct, values, and league integrity. The Ray Rice situation in 2014 is another example. Sponsors dropped Rice over the domestic violence incident. The Baltimore Ravens owners responded to the conduct, the scandal, and the public relations damage. Again, nobody went after the concept of a player having endorsement deals. Nobody said athletes should not be in business outside the NFL. So historically, NFL owners do not explode over outside contracts. They explode over behavior, over optics, over things that threaten the league's relationship with sponsors, with fans, with broadcast partners. Josh Allen is not Colin Kaepernick. He is not Ray Rice. He is a reigning NFL MVP, a $330 million franchise cornerstone, a man who, in his own words, just wants to be a good person with a platform.
And again, I have a platform for what I do. And I just try to be as good as the person I can be, I guess.
That is not the profile of a player who generates owner outrage. That is the profile of a player who generates owner relief, because a franchise quarterback who stays out of trouble, wins games, and builds a clean personal brand outside the sport is an asset, not a liability. And that reality, that Josh Allen's outside deals are almost certainly welcomed by the Bills' ownership and met with indifference by the rest of the league, is the part that the headline does not tell you.
Josh Allen still is probably underpaid. But the Bills are in great shape. I don't think they're done. I think they're just getting started.
The Bills are not an organization that is quietly furious at their quarterback for signing with PepsiCo. They are an organization that just handed him the most guaranteed money in NFL history and let him come into the draft room to run mock drafts with the pro scouts.
He loves the draft. This guy does, he does about 150 mocks a day, I think, and he'll text them to me.
That is a front office and a player in total alignment. So, where exactly is the explosion supposed to be coming from? The business of being Josh Allen. Let us talk about money, because that is always where the real tension lives in the NFL, whether anyone admits it or not. When Josh Allen signed his 6-year, $330 million extension, the most guaranteed money in NFL history, he did it with the full cooperation of the Bills front office. Brandon Beane, the Bills GM, walked through the mechanics of the deal in detail. He noted that they improved his cash flow dramatically and were able to add a couple years left. Beane framed it as a partnership, a give and take. Allen was not adversarial in negotiations. He did not bring in a team of lawyers to squeeze every last dollar out of the Bills. He sat at the table, he understood the cap implications, and he let the structure be built around what worked for the franchise as much as what worked for him.
He's always trying to think of the team and how the things that we say we need help with structure-wise just to help our cap.
That statement was brief, but you already know what Beane wants to say. Josh Allen is one of the Bills' best players, and now layering in the outside deals would inevitably draw public attention.
When you talk about him getting that kind of money, that's who we want to see getting the bag like this.
The Skydance Sports deal, the New Balance switch, the PepsiCo partnership. These deals represent income that sits completely outside the NFL's salary cap structure. They do not affect the Bills' books. They do not affect the league's revenue sharing model. They do not take money from any other player or any other owner. From a purely financial perspective, there is nothing about Josh Allen's outside deals that should alarm any NFL owner anywhere. In fact, the opposite is true. When a star quarterback builds a powerful personal brand outside the sport, it raises the profile of the league itself. Every time Josh Allen appears in a PepsiCo ad, every time a Skydance production gives fans a deeper look at his life, every time New Balance puts him in a campaign, the NFL gets free marketing. The Bills get free marketing. The entire ecosystem benefits. This is the model that the NBA has operated on for decades. LeBron James built Spring Hill Entertainment. Kevin Durant built Boardroom. Steph Curry has unanimous media. NBA owners do not explode when their stars operate media companies. They embrace it because star power drives league value. The NFL has been slower to get there, but it is getting there. And Josh Allen is one of the first quarterbacks to build this kind of multi-platform presence while actively winning at the highest level of the sport.
The message it really is what we're about. We want to draft, develop, and re-sign our own.
That is Beane again, talking about the Bills' philosophy. And notice what he did not say. He did not say, we want our players to stay in their lane. He did not say, "We want our quarterback to focus only on football and nothing else." The Bills' message to their locker room, as communicated through Josh Allen's deal, is, "If you come here and do things the right way, we will invest in you. We will respect you. We will pay you." And Josh Allen doing things the right way includes being a well-rounded person with a life and a brand that extends beyond the field. That is not a source of conflict. That is the whole point. The question is not whether Josh Allen's outside deals bother the Bills. The question is whether they bother the other 31 owners around the league. And to answer that, you have to ask, what specifically would any other owner object to? Allen is not promoting a competing product to any official NFL sponsor in a way that creates a contractual conflict. He is not using his platform to make political statements that put the league in an uncomfortable position. He is not doing anything that any standard NFL player contract would prohibit. He is doing what any athlete at the peak of their earning power is advised to do: build income streams outside the sport before the sport is over. Josh Allen said it himself: there is life after football, and he is building for it now, not later. No owner in the NFL has a business interest in preventing their players from thinking that way. The verdict. If players start stepping outside the system, how long before the entire power structure shifts? Let's bring this story home, and let us start with the one owner we know the most about in this story, Terry Pegula, the owner of the Buffalo Bills, who noted that Josh Allen gives them the resources to truly go out and be aggressive at certain times. Bean talked about Pegula, the owner of the Bills, has been spending on Josh Allen's playing contract, on the surrounding roster, on the infrastructure of the franchise. The idea that Pegula is simultaneously furious about Allen signing with PepsiCo or Skydance does not line up with anything we know about how he operates. And for the other 31 owners, the research does not surface a single quote, statement, or formal complaint from any NFL owner, current or former, about Josh Allen's outside deals. Not from Jerry Jones, not from Robert Kraft, not from any team's front office spokesperson. The historical record on this is clear. NFL owners, when they do react publicly to player behavior, react to conduct issues, violence, protests, legal problems, not to endorsement deals. The business of an athlete making money in the marketplace has never been a trigger for owner outrage, because it is not a threat to the league. It is a feature of it. What the internet reacted to, and what the title is tapping into, is the feeling that there is something transgressive about a player building this kind of independent power base. The instinct is the NFL owns its players, and players stepping outside of that ownership creates friction. But that instinct does not hold up under scrutiny. Josh Allen is not stepping outside the NFL's ecosystem. He is expanding it. The Skydance deal creates content that brings more eyes to Josh Allen, which means more eyes on the Bills, which means more eyes on the NFL. The PepsiCo deal puts Allen's face on a national platform, which raises his profile, which makes the NFL more visible to audiences that might not be watching games every Sunday. The Bills have built a culture around investment in players, in character, in the community. Josh Allen is the walking embodiment of that culture. He's referencing various people in the building, and Slick Rick, the mailman, just all the people that he comes across. And Bean says it gets even more personal than that.
For a guy of the MVP caliber to give praise to not just teammates or coaches, but to some of our staff, I mean, it blew Slick Rick away.
This is who Josh Allen is, and this is why his outside deals do not generate owner backlash, because the person signing those deals is universally regarded across the league as one of the good ones. The New Balance deal is funding youth sports programs in Fireball, California. The Skydance deal is giving fans access to Allen's actual life, not a manufactured version of it. The PepsiCo deal is, at its core, a major consumer brand saying, this man represents something we want to be associated with. None of that is a problem. None of that is an explosion waiting to happen.
Josh Allen wins an MVP, which is obviously something that I assume the organization is proud of because Josh has only been with the Bills.
Allen has never played a snap for any other team. He has grown up in public as a Buffalo Bill, and Buffalo has grown up around him.
He truly knows, the lunch staff, again, Slick Rick, all the people in the building. He's not too big for anyone.
That is the final image the research leaves us with. Not an athlete at war with ownership. Not a quarterback generating owner fury. Just a man from a farm in California who throws rocks into dumpsters, gets married, wins an MVP, signs the biggest contract in NFL history, and then quietly goes about building something that lasts past the final whistle of his last game. The title asks whether NFL owners reacted loudly, The evidence says no. And more than that, the evidence says the opposite is true. The NFL's ownership class, by and large, is watching Josh Allen build his brand and seeing exactly what they want to see. A franchise quarterback who makes the league worth watching, makes his city worth investing in, and makes the NFL more valuable to every company that wants to be part of it. The explosion, if there is one, belongs entirely to the internet, and the internet, as usual, is the loudest room in the building. But here's the real question. Is Josh Allen truly sticking to his NFL contracts, or could he have made a secret move that could backfire across the league? Let me know what you think in the comments section. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your screen.